The field of educational technology grows and advances just as quickly as the concept of technology in isolation. As society modernizes itself with technological advancements to make life more convenient, society must train itself and become more knowledgeable to keep up. Otherwise, it will become obsolescent. We can all picture the dystopian future that has been illustrated when this occurs in society. 1984 by George Orwell, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. When isolating the idea of education in this context, we have also seen examples of the failure of the brick-and-mortar school to adjust. Waldorf schools, private boarding schools, religious-based schools, and extremely rural public schools are some of our modern-day examples of schools that are slower to adjust to the rapid-paced change of society. Educational technology requires those involved, faculty and staff, including administrators and instructional coaches, students, sometimes even parents, to be consistently trained and updated to be parallel to the progress that advancing society is making. In order to accurately educate, train, and update those on the front lines of education, one must understand the foundations that have built those areas into what they are today. Every concept, technology, education, instructional design, science, you name it, begins with a foundation. To look at the future, we must first examine the past.
Now, let's explore theories and the foundation of education. To look at the future, we must first examine the past. The main contributors to educational technology are typically grouped into 5 frameworks: behaviorism, cognitivism, connectivism, constructivism, and humanism. What is the common denominator of all these frameworks? Learning. Let's consider the question, what is learning? Learning involves change in knowledge, beliefs, behaviors, or attitudes. Without learning, we would not have education. Each of the following frameworks has broken ground in education and has paved the way for advancement. Like modern psychology, educational technology theory begins with behaviorism. In the learning theory of behaviorism, developed by John B. Watson, it is believed that learning occurs by linking stimuli and responses. Learning becomes cemented by way of punishments and rewards. In the modern school system, an example of this is PBIS, otherwise known as Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. In the learning theory of cognitivism developed by Jean Piaget, it is believed that learning occurs through the processing of information internally rather than merely responding to an external stimulus. This framework is like a computer with structures that receive and store knowledge. Learning occurs when we receive concepts in our short-term working memory and store them in our long-term memory. This theory introduced the cognitive load, which indicates that learning cannot occur when we overload our short-term memory with too many new concepts. The learning theory of constructivism was developed by Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky. In the constructivism learning theory, it is believed that individuals learn by constructing new ideas, and an understanding of the world is based on prior knowledge and experiences. Vygotsky believed that we form a concept only after others help us complete an act, which is known as the zone of proximal development. Instructional scaffolding, which is when the assistance of others is gradually removed, and collaborative learning are 2 areas highly affected by Vygotsky. Connectivism is a newer learning theory developed by George Siemens and Stephen Downes. Connectivism believes that learning is through the formation of connections between each other as well as their roles, hobbies, and other aspects of life. Humanism is a learning theory that was developed by Carl Rogers, James Bugental, and Abraham Maslow. Humanism believes that learning is a natural desire with the ultimate goal of achieving self-actualization. Self-actualization is when one feels that all their emotional, physical, and cognitive needs have been fulfilled.
In educational settings, teachers, faculty, and staff engage with learners as facilitators. The role of a facilitator is to help others learn. Sometimes a facilitator is separate from a teacher, while other times teachers perform the role of both a facilitator and a teacher simultaneously. Facilitators and teachers share both similarities and differences. The goal of a facilitator is to enhance learning that is happening. They may act as a mediator, help engage learners in active listening or problem solving, actively prepare activities or materials, and implement engagement techniques. Facilitators help others learn by offering skills, strategies, and resources. On the other hand, teachers provide learners with new information that they are subject matter experts on. The main difference between facilitators and teachers is that teachers use their subject matter expertise to design curricula, presentations, and learning materials. Teachers are already doing the work of a professional in the world of instructional design. According to Instructional Design Central, instructional design is the systematic process by which learning products and experiences are designed, developed, and delivered. These learning products include online courses, instructional manuals, video tutorials, learning simulations, etc. Instructional designers are the architects of the learning experience and the directors of the instructional systems design process. The terms instructional design, instructional technology, learning experience design, curriculum design, and instructional systems design are sometimes used interchangeably. In the classroom, when content is being taught, a teacher will evaluate the needs of his or her students in order to deliver. Typically, a pre-assessment is given where the teacher determines what the students already know and what knowledge they need to successfully achieve comprehension of the designated standard. A lesson follows, coupled with remedial and supplemental curricula depending on the learner's needs, in addition to formative assessments. Once the material nears the end of the unit, a summative assessment is given to determine what the students successfully learned. Instructional design is the constant cycle of refining how we organize content, learning activities, and feedback to affect student achievement or human performance. Built on influences in pedagogy, learning, tools, and methods, instructional technology can focus on increasing efficiency and effectiveness of learning activities, but aims to affect pedagogical change in the field of education. Morrison identifies fundamental components of instructional design as learners, methods, evaluations, and objectives. Instructional design considers instruction from the perspective of the learner, not the content. This ties directly into human performance improvement and technology. Human performance improvement is the science and art of improving people, process, performance, organizations, and ultimately society. Human performance technology is a field of practice that aims to improve human performance in the workplace. Human performance technology practitioners use a wide range of interventions, including, but not limited to, training, to close performance gaps and enhance productivity. The human process technological process involves identifying performance gaps, analyzing their root causes, proposing solutions, implementing interventions, and evaluating the results. Human performance is what teachers are focusing on in the classroom, and with this comes the integration of technology. Educational Technology Wiki discusses how technologies afford teaching professionals the opportunity to test out different instructional designs, moving from that traditional brick and mortar to essentially science of education. Design science more so than analytical science. Educational technology is synonymous with instructional design that integrates technology. Process, discipline, science, reality. Digital handbooks, manuals, textbooks, flipped classrooms, blended learning environments, video tutorials, virtual learning in asynchronous settings. Blended learning environments, video tutorials, virtual learning in synchronous and asynchronous settings, virtual reality, learning simulations, artificial intelligence. Technology has provided the opportunity for the evolution of educational media. This consists of print, digital, or electronic material providing or conveying information to the students or otherwise containing intellectual content contributing to the learning process.
When integrating technology in classrooms, it is important that technological processes and policies are considered. Three areas should be on the forefront of consideration regarding implementation: vision, access, and integration. The National Center for Education Statistics notes that vision pertains to what is expected from the technology overall. Access refers to the acquisition, deployment, and availability of technology to the target audiences. Integration of technology is the development and implementation of strategies that make technology useful and capable of accomplishing the vision. Technological resources have been enhancing people's lives for hundreds of years. Consider a few pieces of technology such as the cotton gin, sewing machine, telegraph, and cylinder printing press. Technology has changed and evolved tremendously since these technological resources were created. More familiar to us today include flat-screen televisions, laptop computers, tablets, and virtual reality headsets. In addition to these physical examples of technology, there are many software and online resources that can be utilized. A few examples include learning management systems, collaboration and communication tools, and creative and multimedia tools. Technology is still enhancing our lives and is providing rich opportunities for learners of all ages and abilities. It is important that educators consider the performance of their students, as it can be helpful when making instructional decisions. Educators typically use a mix of formative and summative assessments to measure student performance. Formative assessments are typically given throughout instruction. Students are given ongoing feedback based on their current performance level regarding a skill or topic. Formative assessments may include quizzes, graphic organizers, class discussions, journals, etc. Summative assessments are typically given after students have received instruction in a skill or topic. They can guide the educator and student on their performance level. Summative assessments may include tests, final exams, or projects. Once a summative assessment is given, the educator typically goes on to teach a new skill or topic. Educational technology can be used as a tool when conducting formative or summative assessments. While teaching secondary students, Ms. Sharma found that if we can design an evaluation task that allows them to choose how they'll design their final product and provide them with the technological tools to do so, the technology will engage them. Researchers determined that technology can be utilized to mediate a wide range of functions: the tasks learners do, how they plan what they will do and how they will learn, sense-making or the construction of understanding, how they reflect on learning, and the feedback process to progress learning. Educational technology can be beneficial to learners of all ages and abilities. However, it is extremely important that educational technology and technology in general are appropriately managed. Researchers believe that if ICT, or Information and Communication Technology, is to be used in schools to enhance both teaching and learning, the three most important expert areas that need to merge are technology, education, and management. To properly utilize and manage educational technology, educators need to be provided with ample professional learning opportunities. Educators should also anticipate potential challenges with managing technology. A common challenge is the malfunction of technology or student behavior. How will the educator manage potential issues?
Since teachers are subject matter experts, they are responsible for creating resources that they use with their learners. When creating resources, teachers should ensure that they are creating high-quality resources. They can reference the AECT, Association for Educational Communications and Technology, standards to help them design high-quality resources. These standards provide a comprehensive guide regarding content knowledge, content pedagogy, learning environments, professional knowledge, skills, and research. The goal of the creator of educational technology includes increased efficacy and effectiveness of current practice, pedagogical change, and requires human labor. Theoretical knowledge meets experiential knowledge through the design and creation of the materials. Development falls under two different roles: the instructional developer, who creates materials, lessons, learning activities, and courses, and the evaluator, who develops and implements evaluations for courses, curricula, programs, both summative and formative. Once the teacher has created high-quality resources, they can transition to their role as a facilitator. In the role of facilitator, the teacher can help students with their learning. Students may be given opportunities to utilize technology resources to enhance their own learning. In addition to varying strategies of resource implementation, instructional designers, or teachers and facilitators, become managers and evaluators of their created materials. As they implement them to the students, they are able to evaluate their effectiveness. This ongoing evaluation is implemented through technology-based assessments, professional development, and relevant research, all of which help instructional designers refine their strategies, adapt to the always evolving learner needs, and ensure their materials remain effective and meaningful.
When implementing educational technology, ethical considerations need to be made. Ethics demands that individuals' intentions, actions, values, and beliefs be carefully and critically examined in terms of good, bad, right, and wrong. Some of the main ethical issues arising from the use of technology in education include privacy, security, and use of personal data, hacking, intellectual property, netiquette, vandalism, access, misdirection, impact of personalization on individual abilities, inappropriate use of resources, academic dishonesty, false virtual identities, online harassment and hate speech, academic and online freedom of expression. Without continual and updated training, educators and instructional designers, technology will become obsolete. Technology will always advance, but it is the human element that is the heart of the implementation of educational technology. As we look forward, educational technology will not be sustainable just on innovation alone. Traditional pedagogical strategies coupled with adaptability, inclusivity, coupled with ethical integrity, the future of learning depends on our willingness to evolve with intention. Just as these foundations have evolved, so must our approaches to designing, facilitating, and learning. Technological progress should always be in service to human development.